Okay, fifth graders, so your homework tonight, remember this is lesson 10.4, not study link 10.4. We did that a couple nights ago. We're looking at some of our algebra rules. Subtract the in number from 15. So our in number here is 1. So we're going to substitute in 15 minus 1, and we find out that equals 14. This time we're taking this side as n. 15 minus 2 is 13. And we keep on going. 15 minus 8 is going to equal 7. And now we've got a backwards one. We don't know what our n is, but we know that 15 minus n was 5. So we can reverse it and say 15 minus 5 is 10. That would work. Let's check it out. 15 minus 10 would equal 5. That works. 18. 15 minus 18, ooh, this is going to be a negative number, because if I do this, 15 minus 18, my big number is on the bottom. So this is one where I'm going to actually switch it around, 18 minus 15, to find out what it is. And then I just know that it's going to be a negative 3 for that one. And what minus, or 15 minus what would equal 0? Well, that must be 15. 15 minus 15 would equal 0. This one, our rule has changed. Now we're going to multiply by 3, and as I told you in class, you could also do it this way, 3D. Remember, a number right next to a letter also indicates multiplication. And we've got a star also, that works. So we've got 7. 3 times, in this case, it's going to be 7 because we've got a D. So 3 times 7 is going to be 21. 3 times 12 is going to be 36. And now what 3 times what would equal 24? Hopefully you remember it will be 8. 3 times 8 is 24. And if not, you can think backwards. 24 divided by 3 would be 8. So that would be the missing part of the fact family. This time we've got a 0.3, which gets a little bit trickier. 3 times 0.3 equals, and we can try it out if we want to. 3 times 0.3, we've worked on this one in class. 3 times 3 is 9, and then we've got 1 decimal space, so we want it to be moved over 1. So we would say 0.9. Or if you want to write it as a fraction, it would be 9 over 10, 9 tenths. If our output is 1, 3 times what would equal 1? And you could put, let's see. Alright, 5th graders, I had to go check on my answer key because I'm a little confused by this one. I can't think of anything. 3 times nothing will equal 1. Thus it's blank. There's nothing you can put in there. So just leave it open. 1/2. 3 times 1/2 equals 1 1/2. Sounds a little crazy, but we can try it out. We can write it as 3 over, oops, I wrote it wrong, 3 over 1. And then we multiply it by 1/2. And when we do that, 3 times 1 is 3. 1 times 2 is 2. I'm having a hard time here. 3 divided by 2 would equal 1.5. So we could write it as 3 over 2 if we wanted to, or we could write it as 1.5. This one, remember we've got 2 parentheses. We've got these nested parentheses, so we need to start in the very center. So I've got 2 times x, and x is 2, so 2 times 2 is 4, and then I get to add 3. 4 plus 3 is going to be 7. Here I've got 2 times 4, which is 8, and then I add 3. 8 plus 3 is going to equal 11. 2 times 6 is 12, plus another 3 makes it 15. This time I have to work backwards. So I'm going to start by saying 19 minus 3. 19, 18, 17, 16. 2 times what would equal 16? And that must be 8. So let's test it backwards. 2, or the right way. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 3 more makes it 19. 2 times 12 is 24, plus 3 more makes it 27. Here's another one where we have to work backwards. So I know I get 3 out. 3 minus 3 is going to be 0. So I'm going to add 0. 2 times what? 2 times what will equal 3? I think I'm doing this wrong. 2 times what will equal 3? 2 times, I know what I'm doing wrong. Remember, we subtracted 3. 3 minus 3 was 0. 2 times what will equal 0? And that's 0. So let's test it out. 2 times 0 is 0, plus 3 will equal 3. On these, we don't have the rule yet. We have to figure out what the rule is, kind of like we were doing in class today. It says write a formula. That we were calling it write an algebraic expression. Same idea. I can see that 4 went in and 2 came out. So I can see it's getting smaller. That leads me to believe it's either dividing or subtracting. If it's dividing, it's going to be dividing by 2. If it's subtracting, it would be subtracting 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 12 minus 2 would be 10, so it must be this one, divided by 2. And we're going to call these x and y like we are doing in class today. You can choose different letters, but if you're working with me, that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to call this x because I like this side to be x and this side to be y, because when I have to graph it at another time, it just makes it a little easier. I'm going to say x divided by 2 equals y. And let's try it out. 4 divided by 2 is 2, 12 divided by 2 is 6, 16 divided by 2 is 8, 2 divided by 2 will equal 1. And down here I get a little trickier with a half. What divided by 2 will equal 3? Let's work the opposite way. 3 times 2 is 6. And then I need to get that half in there. And a half will equal a whole, so I want it to make 7. Let's try it. 7 divided by 2 equals 3.5. And 310 divided by 2, might want to write that out, it's up to you. Some of you can probably do it mentally. And I get 155. Okay, another rule to do with this one. 1 goes in, 1 came out. 2 goes in, 3 comes out. 3 goes in, 5 comes out. Well, it's getting bigger, so I can be multiplying. I can be adding. I suspect we're doing something a little bit different, though. I don't think it's going to be quite as easy. 1 goes in, 1 comes out. So I could be doing times 1, but it's not going to work down here because 2 times 1 would be 2, and that went up. And then this one, I could say 2 plus 0 equaled 1. I'm sorry, 1 plus 0 equaled 1. 2 plus 0 is not going to equal 3, though. So it's not any of those, but it does look like it's getting a little bit bigger. So I'm going to take these 2 off. That's not an option. But it looks like it's getting a little bit bigger and then getting, how do I say it? It looks like it's growing by 1. So I have no change. Here I've got bigger by 1. Here I've got bigger by 2. I suspect this one will be bigger by 3, bigger by 4, and I think I skipped quite a few with the 19, so I'm going to leave that for now. And I'm going to think up here that I think if I do something like, I'm going to call this x and y again. I think if I double x and then subtract 1, I will get it. Let me try it out. And then subtract 1. Hope I did this right, because otherwise I'll have to cross it out. Let's try. 1 times 2 is 2, minus 1 is 1. That works. 2 times 2 is 4, minus 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6, minus 1 is 5. Hey, it's going to work. 4 times 2 is 8, minus 1 will be 7. 5 times 2 is 10, minus 1 will be 9. And now I have to think the other way. 19 plus 1 will be 20. What times 2 will equal 20? And that would be 10. Whew, that was a thinker. And this one, we get to make up our own. So I'm going to leave that one up to you. I'm not going to finish it. I'd like you to finish it. See you tomorrow.